Hey guys, hope you're doing well, and for newcomers, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at 5 Nintendo 64 cartridges that are incredibly rare, unique, and downright absurdly expensive. At only a glance, you can already see that none of these games look exactly like their final releases did, and in Turok 2's case, is completely different. But the reason why these look the way they do is because they're actually demo copies that were only produced with the sole purpose to be used in the Nintendo 64 kiosk, not for sale to the consumer, which is why they're so clearly labeled not for resale. Longtime viewers on the channel may remember a video I made 4 years ago that showcased 29 of these not for resale copies, which took me over 2 years to complete. But what makes these copies stand out is that many would agree that these 5 are arguably the rarest, and when you play them, these demo copies are also really interesting since they're different than the official releases. So after going over what exactly each of these are, their current values, we'll pop each of them in just to show that they still work. Before we get started, if you're unfamiliar with these games and how expensive this stuff can get, I highly recommend that you grab a seat before you hear these prices because they've come up even higher in the last few years. First, let's talk about Donkey Kong 64, often referred to as Donkey Kong Gray. This thing right here is a demo that shows off 3 of the game's challenges, used in kiosks leading up to its November 1999 release. Donkey Kong Gray has consistent sales around and over $500. The price on this around 5 years ago was already trending at about $300 or more and has clearly come up a bit. Upon looking at the label, you can see lots of little differences like the pending rating, plus more. If you'd like to see and hear more about this full demo, I made a video on it a couple years ago, and we'll make sure to have it on the end card if you'd like to learn more. Second game we will look at is Pokemon Snap, the blockbuster printing kiosk copy. This thing just shows off the first 2 levels of the game, and also can actually print your Pokemon photos from your album if it's hooked up to the right kiosk. These copies resided in those units before and during its March launch in 1999. Surprisingly, this one doesn't actually have any completed listings at all on eBay, which means it hasn't been listed for several months. And even more obscure yet, although it's not a perfect resource, especially with pieces like this, price charting has 0 recorded sales on this thing. Years ago, it seemed reasonable to get this game for around $250 to $400, depending on condition. These days, it's fair to say, especially with its absurd rarity as of late, it's at least $500, and only a current auction could determine where the ceiling lies for now. If you want to see a full video on this one, I'll be sure to also leave that at the end card. Third game here, known as Yoshis Story International version, which is evidently a rushed kiosk copy since they still have everything in Japanese, but clearly wanted this thing to be demoed leading up to the holiday season before they could finish the whole translation process, and release the game just 4 days before Christmas of 1999. This beast of a collectible has consistently sold pushing on $1,500 and has been super expensive for a while. But 5 or so years ago, it at least seemed doable to get one for $500 to $800, and has only come up from there. I will be releasing a video on this copy in the next day or so, along with the next 2, so if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on those upcoming videos. Fourth game to look at, Turok 2 Seeds of Evil, which is another straight up demo cartridge that has a few stages to pick from and a surprising amount of beta content. It was in kiosks leading up to and during its December of 1998 launch. For a long time, I thought this game held a value of around $300 to maybe $500, which is nothing compared to the most recent auction that didn't stop at $1,000 but actually eclipsed over $2,000 at $2,175. When I saw this, I was super surprised honestly, and I think it comes down to the demand really clashing with the obscenely low supply to go around. Plus, it just so happens that the condition on this copy was basically immaculate, and as a final cherry on top, it even had the back sticker applied and intact with none other than Funko Land as its store, a loved and cherished game store chain that a lot of people remember fondly from their childhood. So knowing that your copy came from one of those stores in one of their kiosks is just freaking awesome. Last but certainly not least is a perfect formula for a ridiculous price spike. You're dealing with the Zelda series, which we already know people are absolutely obsessed with, plus it's Majora's Mask, which is of course a title that means a lot to a lot of people. Now consider that this thing is in a gray cartridge which never existed in its retail release as they 100% used gold carts, and then with that in mind, you have a demo level select menu that allows you to choose what locations to check out, but also has many notable differences than its Western final release. And although the game can't save, apparently you can go basically anywhere you want and the game already gives you nearly all of the items and masks, depending on your menu selection. For all of these reasons, plus its ridiculously high rarity, the game has regularly been called the N64 Holy Grail for years, and has consistently held a value from $800 all the way up to $1,500. But the most recent auction ended for an astonishing $4,550. Yeah, it's fair to say that people get pretty riled up over this stuff, and to be fair, I can absolutely understand that, as you're looking at cartridges that we were never intended to have, yet tangibly represent truly significant moments in gaming history. Obviously, these games wouldn't be worth very much if they weren't kept clean and functional, so just want to show these games being popped into an N64 and turning on. Remember, if you want to see more in-depth review with some uninterrupted gameplay, and also enjoy full game reviews in general, be sure to subscribe if this channel feels right to you. Before ending the video, as some of you may already know, this topic has resurfaced for me out of necessity. I recently realized that I won't be able to hold on to these precious gems forever, and after basking in their wonderful, historical, and obscure glory for the past 5 years, I've had to come to terms with that it's time to let these go and allow some other enthusiasts to get their chance to love them too, because there simply are not enough of these to go around. I've spent my time with them, I was able to share them with a lot of people, it was a lot of fun completing the hunt, but now it's time to allow these to go back into the wild and find their next loving home. So I know it's been a while, but you'll be seeing more NFR videos coming out very soon before going back for the final of the Haunted October reviews. Also, I've been surprised in the past by comments asking me to dump the ROMs, when the first thing they should have done is just checked if they already exist, and they do, so if you want to experience these for their unique messages and gameplay, be sure to check them out and I'm sure you'll have fun with it. Lastly, if you're curious where the auctions are listed, simply search eBay for N64 NFRs and you'll be able to find them right away. As always, thank you so much for watching, thank you for the consistent viewers and commenters, I look forward to seeing you for the next episodes, and hope you have a great rest of your day.